Personally, I think the DriveX 10 Metallic is one of Victor's nicest looking racket to date. What do you think? This DriveX 10 is Victor's new flagship racket within the all-around racket category, and is it an upgrade compared to the previous DriveX 9? Let's find out. If you're not already aware, Victor splits their badminton categories into three main segments: speed, power, and all-round. The speed category have the current Aura Speed racket series in there, as well as the more legacy racket series such as the Jet Speed and Brave Sword. The power category obviously have the Thruster series of rackets, and the all-around category have the DriveX badminton racket series. I've previously done a breakdown video providing you with more details about each of Victor's badminton racket series, and I've linked it here and in the description below. For this DriveX series, the DriveX 10 Metallic is their second flagship racket after the DriveX 9, which I've reviewed previously too. However, the DriveX 10 is also Victor's first flagship racket to implement the metallic carbon shaft, hence its name Metallic at the end of the racket model. In terms of visuals, the metallic segment on the shaft is showcased in the bottom section of the shaft that is inserted into the cone of the free core handle. For those of you who are not aware, Victor's free core handle are a departure from the traditional wooden handles and are plastic molded handles, which I've been a fan of. I'll discuss more about how it plays later in the video, but first, the metallic section of the bottom of the shaft isn't seamless on the shaft, and it feels like a separate segment that is fused or baked onto the racket during the production process. If you think it looks thinner than the rest of the shaft from the photos and videos, and it is because the metallic section is actually thinner than the shaft itself. In terms of the racket colorway, the orange and purple decals match perfectly with the matte looking but slightly pearlescent Limoges blue, which looks pretty good to me. Additionally, the frame of the DriveX 10 also features the signature frame shape design, where it feels like the bottom of the racket frame around the 5 and 7 o'clock area swirls around and showcases a thinner section of frame there. So remember to protect your nice racket frames from scratches and chips with the premium racket protection tape from ckydw.com/shop. Free delivery worldwide. For measurements, the DriveX 10 Metallic had a shaft diameter of 6.6mm, but as I've said just a few moments ago, the silver looking segment at the bottom of the shaft is actually thinner at only 6.5mm, even more so impressive. For reference, the DriveX 9 has a shaft diameter of 6.8mm. In terms of shaft length, both DriveX rackets are sporting a 21cm shaft length. For racket frame measurements, both rackets have almost identical frame thickness, with the DriveX 10 coming in at bang on 10mm, whilst the 9 measured in at 9.9mm. However, the DriveX 10 does have a slightly smaller racket frame compared to the DriveX 9. The DriveX 9 had a frame height and width of 24cm by 18.5cm respectively, whilst the DriveX 10 was slightly smaller across both height and width at 23.7cm and 18.2cm respectively. Moving on, both rackets also have the same top half recessed frame profile within their respective racket frames, and finally, both rackets are also sporting the free core handles, which are similar length in 17cm long. So if you're purely looking at these measured numbers, you will find plenty of similarities, but that's not the entire story, as they do play quite differently. I believe both rackets come in 3U and 4U, but in Europe, the DriveX 10 Metallic is only available in 3U, whilst the DriveX 9 is only available in 4U. In terms of stringing designs, both rackets also have 4 sets of single pass grommets at the top of the racket, and as the DriveX 10 is a newer production racket, the grommets do have Victor molded onto them there. They are rated for 28 pounds of string in tension for the 4U rackets and 29 pounds for the 3U equivalent. For testing, they're strung to my usual setup of Aerobite at 27 by 29 pounds. So how does the DriveX 10 compare to the DriveX 9? Immediately, I felt the 10 was stiffer, hit heavier, and with, more significantly, a solid feel. Power shots which require bigger, faster swings was super nice and crisp with lots of power and stability. I felt the DriveX 10 is very lovely when you need some racket weight to help you carry the shuttle, especially in a singles setting. But at 3U, it was too demanding and slow for me as I'm not physically super strong. The short, sharp, fast, flat returns required for doubles was certainly a big challenge for me with the 3U DX10, but it was super nice with the DX9. One thing that really stood out for me was how nice the shuttle felt coming off the string bed of the DX10. Over quite a few sessions, I was also testing the Ruger Metallic side by side, and I personally prefer the shuttle feel and response coming off the DX10 every single time. It just felt a lot more refined and is a nicer feeling over the Ruger Metallic. Again, I do think the free core handles in the DriveX rackets are helping with these nicer feelings, as well as also helping with playability too. I also took a look at the racket matrix from Victor's official catalog and noticed that it said both the DriveX 9 and 10 were supposed to have the same head weight, and I certainly didn't feel that way. Granted, I do admit it is quite challenging to compare two generations of rackets in two different weights, but these are what's available for me to test, so we'll have to go with that. But in terms of feeling, I certainly felt that the head weight was more similar to the Thruster Ruger 2 region. So not as head heavy as the original Thruster Ruger or the current Ruger Metallic, which was even head heavier, but certainly not the same head weight as the DriveX 9. Also, here are some swing weight measurements on both the DriveX rackets across different setup scenarios to provide a bit more context. I do remember speaking to Go Sun-hwat at the World Championships, and he did mention it a few times that this was head heavy, hence that's why he liked it. By the way, other pro players on the World Tour such as Apriyani Rahayu, Sitifade Sularambadanti, Wang Suwei, as well as Sun-hwat are playing with the DriveX 10 Metallic. Overall, I personally think the DriveX Metallic is a step up compared to the DriveX 9 if you're someone who likes some head weight to your racket to help with power generation. Don't get me wrong, the DriveX 9 is super fast, but it doesn't have a lot of head weight to it, and it feels softer too. Similar to a Yonex Arc Saber 7 Pro if you're looking for a like-for-like comparison to Yonex. Whereas the DriveX 10 is more of like a Yonex Arc Saber 11 Pro or even the Yonex Astrox 88S Pro with that little bit more head weight and power. Whilst I love the 3U DX10 for singles, I would struggle with it as it's quite demanding physically and technically too, especially in doubles. So I would recommend you guys to test out the 4U models first before going for the 3U. If you're not having a good day, the 3U would not be an easy racket to play with. But with that said, the feeling of the shuttle coming off the strings is super nice, and that was something that really stood out for me. Well done to Victor with this one, and if you want to check out more racket reviews from Victor as well as other brands, check out the playlist here. Have you tried the DX10? What do you think? Till then, I'll see you in the next one.